Wow, welcome to Unlimited Treasure, where we transform lives through small, big things. I call them small but big things because it's the little things that you can start doing and then achieve quite greatness in life. So please walk with us in this journey. And thank you for viewing this video and others that are available in Unlimited Treasure channel. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and we really appreciate that. So today, as promised, we're going to talk about the little big things of savings. Little savings that will set you apart. If your why for saving is not big enough, you may not find this meaningful, but I can promise you that if your why for saving is big enough, you will have reasons and you will definitely save and achieve that greatness. My inspiration for saving, and let me just also welcome those who have been walking this journey with since about 2015. I know some people then committed, those that I was coaching, some that I was talking to over social media, committed to saving and really making sure that they have some debit orders. And if you did start then with us, then you must have achieved something, or you are definitely getting somewhere. Congratulations. Keep on being consistent. Consistency is the way. If you're not going to be consistent about things, then you're going to start and stop and start and stop, and you won't repeat the results. So it is very important to be consistent. My inspiration for saving is a basic learning from my father, because in the early 90s, at home we acquired 2 sheep. So people look at us now as people who have about 100 sheep, because they fluctuate between 50 and 100 depending on what we're selling. All right. But that's what will happen to you when you start saving. I mean, my father is in his 70s now, and the 2 sheep have become 100 over that period. That is just so amazing. Can we not save to try and just only do quick things? Can we be patient as we save? A couple of years when we started, I said try and save some 20,000 and then put it in an investment, and I did recommend some investments which could bring you to a couple of millions in 20 years if you just save that 20,000 rand. So that is the kind of targets we're talking. It is true that you can't always save yourself into wealth, but there's a level of savings that you can do and then put in investment, and then that investment can grow and bring you a lot of returns. It's not just easy to become that millionaire just like that. You're gonna need to sacrifice something. You're gonna need to really be consistent and remain at it no matter how tough. So with that, just decide right now what you need to save for, whether it's for your education, whether it's for your next trip, whether it's your house, transfer costs. I know in the South African context, the government has said that we won't be paying transfer duties for these houses if they happen to be less than R1 million, but you will still pay those transfer costs to the lawyers because they need to be paid. But that is anything between 20,000 and 50,000 in most cases still, so you may be wanting a house and you may get an approval, but you may actually need the transfer cost, so you may need to save for that. If it's a house more than R1 million, even if it's less than R1 million, you will need transfer cost. If it's more than R1 million, you will need transfer cost and transfer duties, a lot of money, and furniture to get in the house. It's a plan. So we have spoken about goals, guys. There are other videos in this channel talking about time management, goals, routine. Please do visit them. So, learning from my father, in my earlier career, I registered a first house. So over time, I decided that is one of the houses that I will not sell and use as an investment, and not even sell it at any point. And I decided that when my son was born, I decided to move from that house and rent it out. And I said, in 20 years, there's a vow I made to my son who couldn't hear me at the time because he was young, but that in 20 years' time, a couple of things are going to happen. If God gives me life, of course, He will. We believe this property will be paid out. So we either gonna sell it, and at that time it will be worth a lot, right? And that will be the present to my boy, or my boy will live in it, or maybe there'll be other kids and they could be going to school, or they decide that they don't want to live at home and they can live in it. But the bottom line, guys, is when I started taking this journey, I started saving, and I tried to save 20,000 a year minimum. Okay, so I saved because I decided that I wasn't gonna rent for a certain amount anymore. I will confess it was a low amount, but I never wanted to rent for more than 3,000 rand. That being said, meant I have to save and all that. So after acquiring that was my thing. Then I made that commitment to my son who couldn't hear me that in 20 years' time, this is either going to be a property or a property for you and your siblings. A couple of things could happen. We could sell it and there'll be money available. But I mean, it will be worth, it's a property less than 1 million. It was my first property. So just by the little savings and then sacrificing as well, not to eat all the money, but commit to a bond at an early age. That was my bigger purpose, to say, if nothing else, then 20 years down the line, we could sell and have this close to 1 million deal, money in the bank because it's paid off. Or it continues, it becomes a home to my children when they are out of age and they feel like they need the freedom. But it started with saving for those costs, for the transfer costs and for everything. There were savings for the furniture, there were savings for all that. So that's why I'm saying, if you understand what you're saving for and you have a bigger purpose for it, it will definitely work out for you. All right. I also recommended a couple of years ago that you should just start the 20,000 rand investment, and in about 10 to 20 years it could give you returns of millions. So it's not something that's going to happen fast, but if you understand why you're doing it, then you can do it. So today I want you to commit. I would like you to commit, not for me, but for yourself. Commit to something. You can decide on what you're going to save every week or every month, right? And just make sure that it's something that you're willing to sacrifice. And guys, the word is sacrifice, really. I remember early this year, because I have huge interest and I play within the 4IR space, to really do a lot of learnings and certificates within the space. And one of the decisions I made was to sacrifice 2,000 rand a year to have access to LinkedIn learnings and certificates and all that, so that I learn more, I empower myself more, that way I can make more money, I can be more of a value with the clients that I work with. And really just sacrificing that 2,000 rand could then bring me contracts worth quite a lot. Again, it's the reason, why do you want to save? Have a big why. Have a big why. Have a big why. So it could have been 2,000 rand. It looked big at that time. I will confess that I had not quite saved for it. But then I thought about it and said, I possibly spent 500 or more in these nails and hair things, but which one is more important? Then I had to reduce this and that just to make sure that I paid that money once off. And then, but if you divide it, you realize that it's 200 to 300 a month for the bigger purpose. So if your why is big enough, you make a plan. I ask that you find your bigger why so that you really make sure. And some of the things you can start saving for, you could decide that I will now have a life cover for 300 rand a month or for 500 rand a month, depending. And then this life cover, I will also make sure that because my family depends on me, there's a lot of us like that. My family depends on me, and I give them, whether it's 300 or it's 3,000, really is not the point. The point is, should anything happen to you when there are people who depend on you, what's going to happen to them? And you may need to just take that life cover that can cover those houses that you have, so that they still some houses that they can either sell or they can live in, whatever the situation is that you have. If they depending on you for some money, then they can still continue to live, not like you die and they also feel like they're dead. And that may be worth sacrificing that 200, 300, 500 rand, depending on what you want to be covering with that life cover and monthly benefits to your family. So guys, all I'm saying is, let's have a big enough why and save. It will help you so much. So I have some recommendations here that you can decide. I mean, if you're saving 1,000 rand every month, then it's going to be, and if you calculate 11 months, because people don't count January most of the times because of December, then you've got 11,000 rand. It means it's going to take you 2 years maybe to do something that needs 20,000 rand, but it means you can start on something and you can really be saving this money. Money in the bank is not going to make you money as well. So go out there, ask for advices on better investments where you can put money and it grows. There's options for funds that can grow very fast, or you'll understand your risks and then decide what you want to do. But the bottom line is, when you have this 11,000 rand, don't just keep it in the bank. Keep it in an account that can make you more money, so that it can also make you more money and then more money, and then achieve whatever you want to achieve, whether it's your car, your house, a better life for your family, whatever really. We cannot prescribe. We all have different needs and things we want to achieve, and I just want to wish you all the very best as you do that. Decide on an amount, create a debit order for it to your, if you don't have a savings account, open a savings account and create a debit order to this account for every month. And then when you have enough money for what you want to be doing, especially to put it on an investment, then you take this money into an investment, but don't keep it for too long, like longer than 6 months or 1 year. Put it somewhere else. There's savings, tax-free savings. There's a whole lot that you can do. Please feel free to comment and ask questions where you feel like you need help. You could be saving for your pension, because how many people depend on SASSA? You want to be having a good life one day. That retirement annuity, guys, there's a lot to save for. And then decide to have a better life even later for the children, your family. So it's a simple recording, right? But it's just meant to encourage you that there's a lot of things that you think you can't achieve because you don't have money, but you actually can, because you have the money. Don't wait to have big money. If you can manage the cents and rands, the thousands will come, and you'll manage them, and the millions will come. I tell you, they can come. Hey, they can come. And you will see yourself registering a lot of properties. You will see yourself registering a lot of things that you want to do. You can use the money after that investment. Imagine yourself now having saved within these 3 years for a couple of investments, and then the other one is able to buy you a franchise. The other one is able to buy you some property or something, whatever you desire. We're not we don't have the same desires and goals, but all I'm saying is, whatever you want to achieve, you can. Don't wait until you have 1,000 rand to think that you can save 100 rand. If you can't save 100 rand for 1,000, it will be difficult for you to save 1,000 from a 10,000. So it's a discipline that we need to learn. I just wanted to encourage you on that and let you know that it is definitely possible. We may not have all millions, but we can have these millions if we plan well and we understand why we're doing all these things. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for subscribing to this channel, Unlimited Treasure, and recommending it to your friends and all those you know. Thank you so much. All the very best as you save and invest. You're treasured.